These are the tales of two hygienists, one East Coast RDH and one West Coast hygienist. Listen as they tackle the profession of dental hygiene with humor and enthusiasm. Now, please join Michelle Strange and Andrew Johnston as they tell you a tale of two hygienists.
Welcome to episode 97 of A Tale of Two Hygienists with your host, Andrew Johnston.
And Michelle Strange. I couldn't get where you were.
Well, I mean, it's like midnight and a half your time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's cool.
Hey, happy Halloween, by the way, yesterday.
Belated Halloween. What did you dress up as?
A sexy nurse.
Way to switch things up, right? Not a sexy hygienist, but a sexy nurse.
A sexy murse.
A murse.
Male nurses.
A murse. Yeah.
I don't know. No, I didn't do the dress up. I did the passing out of candy and that kind of thing. So
Allison took the kids.
The boys are old enough now that they went with their friends. And yeah, they're at that weird age where it's like Zach's 11.
You're not cool.
So, maybe a couple more years of trick-or-treating, then he shouldn't be doing it anymore.
And he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Allison and Molly went out, did their thing. Did you dress up? Did you go to parties and such?
I always dress up. I'm a fan of a theme. I love costumes. I think it comes from deep-seated, love of costumes from recital days, like dancing, always dressing up, lots of stage makeup. Yeah, so at 35, I'm still going strong. I was a peacock. That's my spirit animal. So I just go with it. Great.
Good for you, buddy.
I have a bag, like a suitcase filled of costumes that it's just my go-to. I know that's surprising.
I have no words to to talk more about this particular subject.
I like a theme, man. I like to play a part.
Okay. Good for you.
Yep. So happy Halloween. It hurts my heart to give out candy.
It's job security. No, I'm just kidding. But I actually have some patients be like, that's job security, right? I'm like,
of course they do. Of course.
Yeah. I'm all about prevention, but yeah. Go, okay.
But here, have one more. Here, have an extra. Take 3. Take 5.
Allison will find out because she does end up listening to the podcast, but I wasn't sure how many kids we were going to get. And so at first, I just big old handfuls of candy, just dropping them in people's bags. I'm like, you might be the only people I get all night. And then people kept coming.
Lots
and I'm
of people,
half my thing's gone. I'm like, okay, you get
one for you, one for you. And what are you? You don't know your costume? You get nothing.
0.
Go to the next house.
Give me some out of your bag. I want and then there was this cutest little girl ever, and she was so sweet, and I gave her 15. Not really, but
15 I was going to say.
I did give her a lot. I was just like, oh, you're so adorable. And she's
in
a group of the kids, and the kids, the older kids were all pushing up ahead of her, and she was kind of just sitting back, and then she was kind of looking at me, looking at her mom or whatever. I'm like, did you want some candy or whatever? I'm like, I'm a creep. I don't want to say it like that, but it's very weird.
Want some candy, little girl?
Little girl. I have my van right there, which I do drive a minivan, by the way.
Oh, so creepy.
So it is creepy. I didn't actually invite anyone. You know what? Let's move on, shall we?
Moving on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to say some thank yous for this week. I had a few people reach out and tell me that they were excited to hear my dentist troubles after our review, and that they too had their own issues, and I appreciated them saying, happy you talked about it, but I hope we can all come to the conclusion that we are trying to increase communication and get better about it. And
Definitely.
It does really suck that we have all had these, in many cases, some pretty ridiculous situations, but hopefully that we can all kind of rebound from being a product of our experiences and not everyone is like that. So keeping that in mind. But I did appreciate the feedback. And also on the glass ionomer, I got some good recommendations for SDF and glass ionomer for the mission trip, especially from you, Kyle Isaacs. You are the bomb diggity.
She is.
Human
She's awesome.
in the world. She's definitely got me some connections, and I'm super excited about that. So appreciate all the people. Like we say it all the time, but like the listener feedback and the interaction is just incredible, and we do appreciate it.
Do you want me to read those two ones that we talked about earlier this week? The one from Dr. Tillman and whatever?
I don't think I only saw one. So yes.
Well, the other one was from that high schooler.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just go ahead and read them both, and then we'll get to our interview. So we got another review on iTunes, and this is from Hope H103. She says, well, and first of all, the title is called Great Personalities and Great Learning Opportunities. I'm a senior in high school who is planning... Thank you. Okay. And then I'm going to get the giggles after this, and it's not going to be so heartfelt. So this one, though, I'm not kidding you. I know like it sounds stupid, but like I almost teared up. Like it's like
God, you're
this
such a girl.
review. I know, but this review alone, like this is why we do it. Like
it was a good one.
that's
It was. Totally
Okay.
agree. But you were a girl.
Totally. I'm a senior in high school who is planning on majoring in dental hygiene in college. After browsing a few dental podcasts, I quickly observed that most podcasts were way over my head and did not take young students into consideration. This podcast is perfect for me. They consistently ask all of the interviewees to give advice to students, and they make sure that the majority of the time, the vocabulary used is either easy to understand or explained to the audience. On top of all this, they both provide a great deal of entertainment through their wonderful personalities and banter.
Well,
5
thank
stars.
you.
Thank you, Hope H103.
We appreciate it.
That's
so awesome.
Nice. That was
And I love that we have these people that want to go into the profession that are listening to it. Like that's kind of what we always wanted was new people beforehand, new hygienists, and then the veterans to all just kind of come together and learn in one kind of forum.
Can you imagine how great of a hygienist she's going to be? If already she's seeking out that kind of stuff.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, she's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. A great student, a great hygienist. Yes.
Hope after you finish your college years and stuff, come find us again. You can come on the podcast and be our friend. That'd be awesome.
That'd be amazing.
Okay. The next one is from Dr. Tillman at Campbell University. Right? I think it was Campbell University.
I don't know.
Okay. This was a message to our Facebook inbox. On February 10th, 2018, Campbell University Department of Public Health will host a full-day rural oral health summit. Our keynote speaker is Mary Otto,
Yay!
a Washington Post health journalist who recently wrote Teeth. I have you two to partially thank for that. While waiting for my book to arrive, I grew impatient and found your interview for a quick fix. It was enough for me to know she would be an amazing keynote. Anyway, sorry. I'm actually going to skip the rest of that kind of stuff because he just kind of went into like the topics. Just if you're on the off chance interested, the topics for this are pretty cool. It says topic for these sessions are pediatric disparities in rural counties, integration of primary care and oral health surveillance in North Carolina, oral health issues and the rural ER, HPV and oral health, and one of your favorites, Michelle, motivational interviewing and coaching models for oral health, evidence-based and promising practices in rural oral health, and the opioid crisis.
I'm finding a way to go to that. That's really great.
It's amazing.
Even the oral health, the one for the ERs, like I'm really intrigued by that because that was my thesis statement.
Oh, really?
Was that? Well, it was my thesis conclusion that more research and information needed to come because I felt like hygienists could be used in ER settings for just oral health assessment. Like, where do you go from here? Okay, we'll give you antibiotics, but you have whatever it is that's causing you pain. Awesome. I'm going to try to go to that one, Dr. Tillman.
And I want to try and figure out a way to go to it as well. I'm still working on it. I think I work that weekend is the only problem I'm trying to figure out right now. I get one Saturday off sounds bad. Of the Saturdays I have to work, which is just 12 a year, I only get to take one of them off for vacation, and I'm required to be all the other ones. So I got to make sure there's no other conflicts throughout the rest of the year. And if there aren't, then that'll be the one I take off.
Then your goal. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet. So what are we talking about this episode?
This interview is Lisa Stillman. We've known Lisa for a little bit. I think one of the biggest things that people know Lisa for is xylitol. She's a xylitol educator. So she works with Clear/Spry, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, we've had a lot of people on the podcast, I think lately, that have had some very personal struggles, which has motivated them to do what they're doing, or lecture on what they're lecturing on. And Lisa is no exception to that at all. And, we had Chris 2 weeks ago, something like that, struggled through breast cancer. We have Josie that has a child that has autism. And so everyone is having these very personal, real moments in their lives, but they're taking it and they're telling people how to handle those situations if they come across it. It's so great. We really do appreciate people coming on and telling us these very intimate stories about themselves.
And where it leads. I mean, she took a really personal experience, and it really changed everything for her and for everyone that she gets the chance to educate about too. So
yep.
You guys
you're
going to
learn a lot.
One.
Yes. So enjoy this episode with Lisa Stillman.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's time for the interview.
Oh, but I had something else to say.
We need to let the experts talk now.
Fine.
All right. Well, we're here again.
Test.
Test. RDH Under One Roof. I almost said Chicago Midwinter again. Because we're in Chicago.
We are in Chicago at RDH Under One Roof. Day three.
Halfway through our
Day
interviews.
3. This is the long day, though.
This is all for you.
For me. Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to go back and take a nap after this interview.
I want to cut you.
That's going to be the best. Did you hear that?
No.
As she said, I'm going to cut you.
Who said this?
Michelle just did.
I did not.
Did she just say that just now?
She just did.
I didn't hear it.
She's aggressive.
See, my hearing's bad because I'm a hygienist.
Yeah. Right?
So, you're a hygienist. Tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Lisa Stillman. I'm dental hygienist. I've been a hygienist. I'm going to just say how many years I've been doing it for 40 years.
What?
Yeah, 40 years. 40, not 4.
Wow.
And I became a hygienist because I really wanted to be a school teacher. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher since kindergarten. I just imagined I would be sitting in the rocking chair and have all these cute little kids around me, and I was going to read to them because that's what happened to me when I was in kindergarten. And when I went to my senior year, they said, no, the schools are closing and they don't need teachers. So, what's your second choice? And my mom said I should be a hygienist. So I said, dental hygiene. He goes, that's a great idea. So I went to University of Maryland. They had I grew up in Maryland, and they had a career day or, that type of thing. So I went through the entire thing, and I loved the whole idea of hygiene, but I didn't want to work on a cadaver. And they had cadavers there, so I thought, well,
really?
Oh yeah, it was a 4-year school. It was the dental, it's connected to the dental department, which probably would have been a really good thing, but that just totally grossed me out. I was a senior in high school. There's no way. After looking at them and everything, and they were showing them to us, I was like, oh no. So I said, what's the next choice? So I went to the community college. And we had to dissect a cat, so I thought I could do that better.
Oh,
very nice.
I don't know if I could do the cat. I could do the human all day long.
That's funny.
You threatened to cut me after all. So
I know. I'm cruel, but I was like, man. So so that's what I did, and then I graduated, and several years later, I went back to school and went to University of Maryland and got my degree completion.
Nice.
So that was good.
Nice. And what are you doing now?
Well, I am actually still practicing as a hygienist, maybe 4 to 6 days a month, which is not a lot, but it keeps my foot in the door because I still love it. And I'm working for Clear, Spry Company, as a xylitol educator, and my territory encompasses from Virginia to Maine over to Iowa.
So small territory. So small.
So it's fun. It's a great job. I've been doing it for 6 years. So just spread the love of xylitol.
Is it
We love
actually on the
xylitol.
road traveling, or do you do a lot of teleconferencing?
I do both.
Yeah.
I'm on the road. I go to offices if they're close enough, and I also go to a lot of component meetings and do speaking there, and I do a lot of webinars. Mm-hmm. So
Webinars are great.
Whatever works. It is.
Yeah.
I try to talk people into webinars. It's kind of hard sometimes. There's a lot of
I
offices
do
out
get
there.
that resistance, and I'm like, don't you know that this is a little bit easier? Like, you just pile around a computer screen and eat your lunch, and we talk.
Right.
But they're always a little hesitant for it.
And very nervous because they're
Because
so
of
afraid that
technology.
they're not going to get it on right. Get it, get connected and this and that. And I understand that. And you know how hygienists are. We have to do everything perfect.
And change is not fun for us. We don't like that at all.
Yeah, so it's actually really good. It's fun. I really like it.
And you're here at RDH lecturing.
Yes.
What's your topic?
My topic is severe mental illness and oral health. And that's really how I got my job with Xlear.
Okay.
I, tragically enough, have a lot of mental illness in the family. And my son developed schizophrenia at the age of 19. So that was back in 2003. I just graduated from University of Maryland, and I was... I had just got into the master's program at Maryland. I wanted to be a teacher. I was going to go back to teaching, right, and be an instructor or a professor or whatever. Mm-hmm. And when Jordan became really ill, I resigned from that. And I just delved into the whole mental illness, place and learned how horrible it was. And nobody knew about it. Nobody understood, especially me. So... And I wasn't into presenting or lecturing. I was a hygienist, chairside hygienist, and kind of shy. And so I thought, well, I need to get out there and tell people about this. So I started talking about it, and I was able to relate it to the dental industry because of because of their oral health. And there's 3 things that cause severe destruction of the teeth for these mental health people.
Okay.
And what they are is the illness itself doesn't lend to good oral hygiene, which anyone that is sick and doesn't feel well, they're not
Doesn't
going to
take very good care of their mouth. Yeah.
No, they're not. And so you can't blame them. The second thing is the medications that cause horrific dry mouth. And the third thing is that the antipsychotics cause an addiction to carbs. And addiction
Oh.
Right.
I did not know about
Yeah,
that.
and we're talking about Risperidols, Ipraxal,
Yeah.
Geodone, Abilify, oh golly, it goes on, Clozaril, it goes on and on and on. So it changes the metabolism of the body, and it causes an increase of insulin into the bloodstream. And when that happens, you're going to crave carbs.
Okay.
So I discovered xylitol while Jordan was going through all of this.
Okay.
And so I thought, wow, you know what? This is a great shoo-in. So you have to pick your battles with your adult children, no matter what it is, what's going on. And if they have a severe mental illness, you have to kind of be very careful. They're very, very sensitive. They're going through a very vulnerable time in their life, the most ever.
Yeah.
So I couldn't keep saying brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. So I would just give him the xylitol gum, give him gum, put the sweetener, and have him use that sweetener instead of sugar, or this, that, and the other. Did it really help him? I don't know, but it helped me. And it helped our relationship probably. I wasn't harping on him all the time. So then I started putting together at meetings, at NAMI meetings, National Alliance on Mental Illness, I started putting together booths at their meetings and promoting the xylitol products. So between using it for dry mouth, because it works great for dry mouth, it works great to reduce the bacterial load on the teeth, as well as it reduces the cravings for carbs. So it's a shoo-in for that population. And so then this company, this Xlear company, noticed what I was doing, and they were providing, products for my speaking and presentations about it to the dental industry and to the mental health community. And then they ended up needing a regional educator, and they hired me.
What I love those kind of stories, like super organic.
Sounds very familiar,
like
though, doesn't it, Michelle?
it does actually. It's very similar to me and Tepe, but
Isn't it neat?
Yeah.
The really heartbreaking part is I lost my son in 2008.
Oh my gosh!
And
I'm so sorry.
my dear friend Diana Corbin, prior to that, had nominated me for the Sunstar Award. And it was based on this whole mental health thing. So, it's like so bittersweet. It's like I'm winning an award because my son is so ill, and this is not where I want to be. I mean, this is not a population I would even be thinking about, right? Which is maybe bad on my part, but it just never would have come into my world.
Right.
But because of my son's quote-unquote demise, I am benefiting. So it was really a very, very hard thing when I came and accepted the award because he had just passed away.
Oh my gosh!
So I got the nomination. He passed away, and 6 weeks later, I came and accepted the award. So it's a very interesting. It was 9 years ago, so I've gotten, I've really healed a lot from it. But it's very interesting how it propelled me too. It gave me so much strength, and it created a community for me that these people understand what was happening, and they just kind of it was like something I could lean on.
Yeah.
So they, and then Sunstar was creating gigs for me to speak, which was really nice. So, I went from a very shy speaker, people falling asleep in the audience and everything, to being able to,
kind of open up a little bit.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just feel like I'm following my son's trail. There's actually in Sedona, there's a park there's a road called Jordan Road, and then his name was Jordan, and then there's a Jordan Park, and then there's a Jordan Trail. And so I was like, whoa, this is quite amazing. So I thought, I'm just following my son's trail, and he's just leading the way, and I'm like just doing it, you know what I mean?
Wonderful.
So to break out of your shell, though, was Sunstar providing any type of coaching or help during your lectures, or how did you start kind of just breaking out and doing better?
I first started on my own, and Maryland Dental Hygiene Association and the Dental Association was needing speakers. And I said, well, I think you all should do a talk. And they said, what topics do you think would be important? I said, mental illness and oral health. Well, we know anything about that. Why don't you do it? And I was like, oh, no. I was like, well, I guess. And luckily, it hadn't been that long since I'd graduated from Maryland. And it's good that I got my education later, because there was no computers when I was going to school. So when I graduated from Maryland, they had already, I had learned how to do presentations and PowerPoint and all that. So I was like, okay, I guess I can do that. So I'm sure whatever. I know what my first presentation was, and it was horrible. And I remember looking at the audience and these doctors just snoring, and I'm like, oh, well, here I am. They are humoring me. But anyways, and then when I did that, I found out about Career Fusion, and I went to Career Fusion, and that helped me break out of my shell. And that's how I met Diana Corbin, and then she nominated me for the Sunstar Award. And then from there, I met Jackie Sanders, and then it just went on and on and on. So it's like when people, they kind of probably felt sorry for me, and they thought, oh, let's help this girl out, But it's been good.
Great.
Yeah, it's been good. And I tell you, when you have something like that happen in your family, you no longer care what anybody thinks. And maybe it's when you get to my age, too, you don't care as much. But it's like you just do the best you can.
Well, the little things don't matter anymore.
No.
The bickering, the backstabbing, the whatever it is that's happening, it doesn't matter. Like, that's so... that's the minutia of just life. It's like the people that actually matter, and you want to be around them. It's
true. And what mattered to me, I would have gone to any audience and spoken about mental illness. And it was like, the cool thing about our profession, being in the dental industry and in the oral health, is that's associated with everything. You can tie it to that. And then I kind of used that to be able to get the word out about mental illness. And so I just wanted people to know about it. So people that sign up for my course, they're not coming because it's going to be fun. They're coming because they know somebody, they are themselves having issues. They just want to learn more about it for their patients, that kind of thing. So it's not like a real fun, ha-ha type of lecture, which is, I only do it a few times a year. I can't do it more than maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
I can imagine that's probably emotionally stressful, yeah.
But I feel like it might not be ha-ha funny, but it's real life application right away.
Yeah.
So what are some of the topics that mental illness is such a broad topic. Are there certain avenues that you go down in your lectures?
Yes. I speak about the most severe mental illnesses, people that don't really hear much about, and it's schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, which is a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar. And I talk about bipolar, and then chronic depression, severe depression. So it's and then we talk a lot about stigma and how to get somebody help, get into crises. It's very difficult when you have in our country, in our culture, we respect people's rights. So when you have civil rights means that person is allowed to walk around on the streets and not be
discriminated against or treated poorly. Right.
But they can also be doing, what I want to say is anybody can walk around on the streets, act crazy, do all that as long as they're not hurting themselves or hurting someone else. Right. And so the family is just dying inside while their loved one is doing this. So they can't get help. There's no law that says, we're going to go pick them up because they're acting crazy.
Acting weird on the streets or something.
Yeah, or begging, or, they're not doing their, whatever. So that's really difficult. And in our country also, people have the right to refuse help.
Yeah.
So if that person wants help, then they can sign up or, go see the doctor. But the tricky thing about mental illness is that it's very usually slow coming on. And that slow coming on, the neural pathways, they have to make sense of the neural pathways that are changing. So they come up with all kinds of reasons as to why it's like that now. Oh, why that thought has changed. Or, well, it's so-and-so because of so-and-so. And when that happens over a slow period of time, then you become accustomed to your own thoughts, and it doesn't seem weird to you. It's like, well, so then everybody else is weird. And then you become paranoid because people are looking at you funny. Then all of a sudden, they're weird. What happened? Why are they acting like that towards me?
It's not you, it's them.
Exactly. So it's very, very hard to convince somebody that's going down that road that there's something wrong with them, because the worst thing to man is to lose our mind.
Right.
We don't want to admit that.
No, so my grandfather who had Alzheimer's, and I took care of him, I was like, I would sooner, one grandfather was like losing his capabilities and functions, and then the other was losing his mind. Yeah. And I'm like, I literally don't know which one's worse, but I kind of feel like losing my mind would be like not being able to rationalize things and reason and know that I know you, but I can't tell you how I know you. Like that would frustrate me to. It's almost like take my legs. Like at least I could talk, have a conversation still.
It is. It's terrible. It really is. It's hard.
It is.
So, unless the person has a type of mental illness where they have depression and they're so sad and they can still rationalize and reason, they're not going to just, go get help on their own. No. A lot of times it has to become a very tragic event, and it's forced on them. Yeah. And then later they might say, oh yeah, that was a good thing. Or they might not and say, I was happier when I was psychotic, and now I'm not, and I have to rationalize and I have to face what I have ahead of me. So it's really different. You never know.
In your course, do you ever go over medications?
I go over medications, and that is the first line of defense, but I don't think that's the end all.
Yeah,
that's what's a shame. But when you have a loved one that's going through this, you want a quick fix, and it can help pretty drastically overnight. But then that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. It's not a continuum. The brain changes, and the brain becomes plastic, and it likes the way it was before. So it's going to. What happens? Let's say antipsychotics, for instance. This is one of the reasons we get these really strong hallucinations and delusions and all that is too much dopamine in the brain. And exactly why that happens, I don't know. But like with Parkinson's, it's not enough dopamine. So with schizophrenia or delusional or psychotic thinking, it's too much dopamine. So these antipsychotics pulls the dopamine out of the brain. The brain says, oh, I like that feeling. I miss that. So it provides more dopamine receptors. So when they start to cut down the medications, or if they go off the medications, then all of a sudden those extra receptors are getting even more dopamine. So then they're actually can be even worse off. So what do you do? That's the deal. So, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor, but you watch, and you can. So some people can plateau and become do really, really well with what the medications are being given to them. But unfortunately, my son's brain was very plastic, and he'd be on a medication for 3 weeks. He'd feel fantastic. I'm doing great, Mom. Oh my gosh, I feel normal again. No, he wouldn't go off the medication. Okay. The brain changed, created more dopamine receptors. So then he was starting to gain more dopamine again, and then all of a sudden these thoughts were starting to come back, and he goes, "Oh no, it's starting to happen again." And it was very sad.
So he's very aware.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all very aware.
I mean,
you don't even
know
know that, though.
Medicine?
You don't know they are, huh?
You just increase medicine as the dopamine?
Well, they would increase the medications. They would change it. And there's only so many choices.
If you increase the medicine and you kept doing that, then they'd increase the brain would increase
there was just
receptors.
no stopping point, I would imagine, right?
Well, and then all of a sudden, you have to worry about the side effects. The side effects are horrific, and these medications can shorten the life of somebody for 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
Because you're increasing you're increasing your cravings for carbs because it changes the metabolism, and that is it's also hard on the heart, the liver, the kidneys, everything. They even put my son on cholesterol medicine.
Wow.
He passed away when he was 24, so he was a young athlete when all this happened.
Yeah, cholesterol shouldn't be an issue.
No. But because of the medications, it changed the chemistry in the system. So people don't understand. They go, "Oh, well, they went off their medication." Well, there's a lot of reasons that people would want to. Nobody wants to be on it,
So is it just psychiatrists and that they're the ones that are prescribing these medications, or are there also medical doctors that are kind of involved in trying to help with some of the physical symptoms?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of medical doctors trying to help too, because these people probably, like I say, you have somebody that wants to get help and they're have enough insight and cognizant enough about their own well-being. They choose to get help. They're going to go to their doctor. They're probably going to go to their general doctor, physician, and if he feels like they can help them, he'll probably put them on a little something, and then they'll monitor it and see how that feels. So yeah, that goes on all the time. With the antidepressants, I guess antipsychotics too, because so many kids are on Risperidol.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kids are on Risperidol. A lot of the kids with ADHD they use these drugs across the board for different things.
Okay.
They even use Risperidol for burning tongue.
What?
Burning mouth syndrome. It changes something in chemistry in the brain, and then that symptom seems to go away.
Wow.
So I know it's crazy,
Really?
Yeah. So these medications are used across the board for different things. ADHD, for autism. So when you're thinking about little children going on these medications and it's altering the brain, what is it going to do in the long run? We don't know. And then their mouth. Think about their mouth. Dry in their mouth. They're craving carbs. There's the same things happening to them too. But nobody tells them that part.
No.
But you said to see how they feel after they take the medication. Is there any objective tests that can be run?
That's a really good question.
There's not. Is there? It's all self-reporting.
No, it's not.
And observation.
That's what it is. It's like, I hate to say it, it's not as bad as a crapshoot anymore as it used to be. But it's years and years and years ago when people would get cancer, they would just throw the chemo on them, and if it helped, that's what's wrong with them. Because there was no targeted cancer cell for certain types of medication. This is the same thing. We're in the infancy of mental health and figuring this stuff out. They can't do brain imaging. Is not going to really give them any clues. They're no further with brain imaging than they were when my son was alive. They do what they do have is genetic testing, but genes, you can't go on genetic testing. They can be altered because you can have the gene for schizophrenia, but it doesn't mean it's going to be switched on.
Right.
So if you get genetic tested for it and you go, you have it's a set of genes, and and they could become. They could switch on, or the expression could be turned on, whatever they say. I don't know the terms exactly. And so I've read where people have gotten this information because they have it in the family, and so they live a very, healthy lifestyle, and it seems to help them. But So that's a clue. But no, they don't have any markers, no biological markers for this. And you wouldn't want to put somebody on an antipsychotic to prevent it.
Exactly.
No, God, no, with all those side effects and all those.
So it's really hard.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's in everybody's family. Like 25% of the population has mental illness.
Right.
So that means 1 in 4 people is dealing with mental illness. It may not be severe, but it's some sort of mental illness.
Yeah.
But for schizophrenia, it's 1% of the population. For bipolar, I believe it's like 15, maybe 10% of the population. And chronic depression is 15. So, you add all that together and it gets up there.
So what do you feel like our responsibilities as hygienists then, since we see the public and those percentages are high, what's our responsibility then for maybe early detection or looking for clues or anything like that?
Well, when you look at the medical history, they're going to list their meds. They're probably not going to write down schizophrenia. They might say bipolar, that's a little more acceptable, or depression. But if you see that they're on antipsychotics, that's a clue that they have had psychosis in their life. It doesn't mean they have schizophrenia, but it does mean that they've been pretty ill with something. So I think that if you see that, then you want to make sure that when you're looking at their teeth, and if their mouth is really dry and they have a lot of decay, you want to be very gentle in talking to them about it, because it's not their fault. And if you understand the 3 things that we went over, the nature of the illness itself, anybody that if they wake up, if they have schizophrenia, if they have chronic depression, they don't wake up with that kick in their step. Every single day, they have to force themselves out of bed, take a shower, do all the things and plus the organizational skills is diminished when you have these illnesses. And it takes a lot of organizational skills to be able to jump out of bed, get your hair done, do your makeup, blah, 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 and get somewhere on time. I mean, it's amazing. And you can see it in the elderly as they start to decline. That's the first thing that goes is their physical, hygiene.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Don't want to shower for weeks on end.
Yeah, they're tired, and or it takes a lot of organizing. So, getting back to your question, I kind of forgot what was it again? Oh,
just
for
what is our
hygienist.
responsibility
Oh,
as
yeah.
hygienists?
So, when their teeth there might be total destruction. You might see total destruction in their mouth, and it's shocking to us. We're like, whoa! But you just tell them it's not their fault. We're going to take care of this. Sometimes the patient might want to come in and just talk. And you might not get anything done on that day, but you just establish a rapport with that person. If there is schizophrenia written there, and they're not going to have a caregiver with them. No, because what happens with mental illness is, it goes in waves. They can be doing really, really well, and then they kind of drop off the grid, and then they come back and start doing really, really well again.
Right.
So writing things down for them so they can remember, looking at them directly in the eye, they're going to be more concerned about what you think about their teeth than anything.
Okay.
They're so vulnerable, they have such deep feelings, they care so much, and they don't have a filter, so all this information is flooding into them.
Interesting, okay.
So,
and that's the hard part too, since the communication sometimes within an office, when you have us who are saying, okay, you know what, we might not get anything done today,
And then they're like, we need to be paid for this hour.
Then the dentist is like, all
Where
right,
are you going to code that out?
what are you being so lazy
What
for?
code is
Why aren't
that?
you working very hard?
Yeah.
So what kind of advice do you have for those types of situations?
well, if you want to reach out to somebody that is having these situations, I would see them on my lunch hour.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
That's very nice.
Or
I think that's a
talk to
great
the
idea.
dentist and say, can I see this person after hours, or something like that? Because you probably don't have a lot of patients that are coming to the dentist. Most people, unfortunately, that are in this population don't have the means to be seeing general dentists. They might be going to see a clinic. They might be seen in a hospital setting or something like that. So, if you know a neighbor or you have a relative or something, see if they can come in on your lunch hour.
Okay.
And then just get as much as you can get done. And it's a shame that it's like that, but unless, you might have a very caring dentist that is like, hey, you know what, we're going to reach out to this person and we're going to do the best we can. You never know. It's very unpredictable. When you're working with people with intellectual disabilities, it's different. They usually have somebody with them that brings them to the appointment. But unfortunately, in this population, people wake up and they go, "I don't feel good today," and they don't make their appointment.
Yeah.
So
you have to be a little forgiving, I guess.
Yeah.
It's hard.
So the hygienist needs to be educated, and so you said you don't teach this course very often, just a few times a year. In addition to your course, what other resources do they have to?
Well, NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness, is great. It's an organization that's kind of established the same way the ADHA is, where you have the national level, then you have each state level, and then you have they're called affiliates, where ours are called components. And so you can get a lot of information from them.
Okay.
And that's mostly run by the caregivers. It's a group that is coached by the experts as to how to care for your loved ones, how to care for someone that has mental illness. And then within that group, we have what's called peer-to-peer, and people that have gone through the rigors of recovery from mental illness, they have an outreach program for them to reach out to others too, and to teach people like us as to what it's like to have to go through that.
Absolutely.
So, and then Mental Health America is also a good resource, but there's not very many of them. There's not.
I'll put whatever we do have in the show notes so that people just click on the link and have access to that.
Okay,
so that'd
good.
be good.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you if they have questions or?
Well, they can email me, and my email address is lisa.e.stillman@gmail.com. That's my personal. Or they can email me at my work. It's lisa.stillman@Xylitol. No, sorry. We have changed our email so many times. Let me get it right. lisa.stillman@clear.com.
Nice.
That's spelled X.
Yeah.
Xlear.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
And so we'll put that in the show notes as well. And you're a wealth of knowledge on not just mental illness, but Xylitol and things like that. So listeners, feel free to contact her for multiple reasons. So that'd be great.
Any shout outs?
Yeah. Oh, you're such a doll. I love my Diana Corbin. I love Angie Stone. I love them all. Jackie Sanders, she got me really far. Golly day, I wish I had my list of people. And my boyfriend, Mike, he's just helps me so much.
Oh, that's so
Nice.
He's
so
precious.
And one last thing, any thoughts or words of wisdom for students or new grads?
Unfortunately, mental illness is even more prevalent in our younger, generation, and I think they probably are more sensitive to it than my generation was, because we didn't understand it. We didn't know about it. I mean, we never even had the word autism in the vocabulary, Asperger's syndrome. We didn't have that. Now it's very prevalent, and that's all under the mental health arena as well. So I think that if any graduate or student would like to do an outreach program, I would love to help them with that. If they, because I work for this company, we do a lot of sampling, we do a lot of outreach ourselves. So if they need anything, to give me a call. I just, I don't really know. I'm kind of at a loss for words when you ask me that. It's like there's so much that can be done, and I feel like the young people, their minds are so much better than mine when it comes to being inventive and creative and everything. And the things that they're doing is so cool. And the colleges really, really, really appreciate the more interdisciplinary type of work. So if they ever, I think it would be really, really cool to, I never have done this, but I always thought it would be cool, to really get each component of dental hygienists with the affiliates and have have like a cross or bi-directional relationship with them, throughout. Now that would take a lot of work and everything. It would take or creating an oral health coalition for the mental health, or mental illness, or there's so many things. I would love to have a bus. Just get in my bus and drive to every group home and say, "Get out of bed. I want to clean your teeth." Just do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. It would just be so cool.
So just be innovative.
Proactive.
Be innovative and proactive. I think that's great suggestions.
But whenever I do talk about xylitol, I always put in the piece about mental illness because I feel like that's my little plug-in. And people are very sensitive to it and very caring. So I get a really good response, especially from the younger generations, because there's a lot of sick young people, and it's scary.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's our food. It's our environment.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's what switches these genes on. But people can be helped. They really, really can. My son's story isn't a story. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but it does not mean that people are not being helped, because they really are. And the wonderful thing about it is there's so many people in the mental health arena that really care and really love, and they're just doing the best that they can, and they're making great strides.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Well, thank you for
you
coming
so
down
much for
here
coming on.
so sweet.
and doing our little podcast
So early in the
here.
morning.
I really
yeah.
appreciate you guys inviting me to do this. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I was a little bit
It's
nervous.
not so bad, right?
It was fun.
Spread the word. We're
I
not
will.
so scary.
No,
I
it's
think
really
everyone
fun.
has this intimidating, what am I going to talk about? I can't talk
Yeah.
for an hour. I can't talk for the it's so conversational. It's like we would chit chat at a table.
No, it's darling. Y'all
Yeah.
are darling. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
very
spread
cool.
the word. It's not so bad.
Okay. Thank you
All right,
so much.
Thank
you.
you.
It's about that time. Grab your blanket and a glass of wine. It's story time with Michelle.
So, for Story Time with Michelle, it is brought to you by Midnight and 2 glasses of wine.
I thought Midnight was the brand for a minute. I'm like, Midnight? Oh, that's a new one. But no, literally
Brought
it being
to-
midnight her time.
It's literally midnight, and I am 8 hours of travel and 4 meetings in to this day. Okay, so this came from. So when I do PubMed searches just for my own research thing, some random thing happens, and I'm pretty sure it's serendipity and the world telling me I need to read these articles, because some random articles will pop up. So I was searching on proactive dentistry and health-based goals earlier.
Okay.
So I don't know why this popped up in it, but I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. It's called the Periodontal War, Microbes and Immunity. So just very strange that it popped up. But it comes from Periodontology 2000 journal, published in July 2017. And I'm going to read the abstract. It's kind of long, folks. And again, I said it's midnight and I'm 2 glasses of wine into this. So I'm not going to go through all of it. Plus, it goes into a lot of the bacteria and things. But what I like about this is that it's a really nice kind of refresher. If you once knew these terms, if you remember them.
Buckle up, folks. It's going to be an interesting ride. Here we go.
Yeah. Hopefully you weren't wanting me to sound smart right now. Okay. So the abstract. Maintenance of periodontal health or transition to a periodontal lesion reflects the continuous and ongoing battle between the vast microbial ecology in the oral cavity and the array of resident and immigrating inflammatory immune cells in the periodontium. This war clearly signifies many battlefronts representing the interface of the mucosal surface cells with the dynamic biofilms composed of commensal and potential pathogenic species, as well as more recent knowledge demonstrating active invasion of cells and tissue of the periodontium, leading to skirmishes in connective tissue, the locality of bone, and even the local vasculature. Research in the discipline has uncovered a concerted effort of the microbiome, using an array of survival strategies to interact with other bacteria and host cells. These strategies aid in colonization, colonization by ambushing, infiltrating, and outflanking host cells and molecules, responding to the local environment changes, including booby traps for the host biomolecules. I like that they use these words.
I like that.
This is funny.
I like that too.
Communicating within and between genera and species that provide MASINT, which is measurement and signature intelligence, to enhance sustained survival, sabotage the host's inflammatory and immune responses, and by potentially adopting a Fabian strategy with a war of attrition and resulting disease manifestations. Additionally, much has been learned regarding the ever-increasing complexity of the host response armamentarium at both cellular and molecular levels that is addressed in this review. Knowledge regarding how these systems fully interact requires both new laboratory and clinical tools, as well as sophisticated modeling of networks that help maintain homeostasis and are dysregulated in disease. Finally, the triggers resulting in a cope domain by the microbiome exacerbated of disease and the characteristics of susceptible hosts that can result in pyrrhic victories. I haven't used that word in a while. With collateral damage to host tissues, the hallmark of periodontitis remains unclear. While much has been learned, substantial gaps in our understanding of the parameters of this war remain elusive towards fulfilling the Sun Tzu adage?
Sun Tzu
I don't even know what that is.
He did like the art of war. Like he's a.
Is that what that is? Yeah. Don't know any of that stuff. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Interesting. So what this does is it goes through like the overview of a symbiotic or coalition versus mutualistic, a non-aggression pact, and a predatory war on host bacteria interactions. And so it talks about, like, it defines symbiosis, it defines mutualism, it defines, parasites and pathogenesis. But then it also talks about, like, quorum sensing. Do you remember that term?
Nope.
So quorum sensing, which is something that I always talk about, is like how bacteria talk to each other. And essentially it's just a very simple way of saying, if you leave, let's take flossing, for instance. If I had to give an analogy, you're flossing, that's hitting the high spots, but if you have curvy root surfaces, you're leaving some kind of bacteria in that curvy morphology, right? So there's this quorum sensing, so that it's like, I call it like the mating call. Like the bacteria is like, hey now, party back over here, we're still here. And it tells the other bacteria to come back and colonate and grow and create that community. So there's quorum sensing, that's how it talks. And it just goes through like the characteristics of the microbiome and the oral cavity, and just a real, hopefully good refresher. But if not, then there's a lot of good things that you can talk about, because it takes it back down again to that cellular and molecular level, which we probably haven't even thought about since biology and micro. And what's really funny and what I find, so I have a good girlfriend who decided to go into hygiene school. Literally, you could have told me that, I don't know, like I couldn't think of anything else that would make me happier for her to tell me that she was going to like go to hygiene school. I was like, yes, come be with us. It's great over here. And she's smart and she's good. She's going to be great for our profession. But she's in anatomy and physiology right now. So when we talked, she's like, yeah, so do you remember like the mitochondria? I was like, oh, okay, give me a second.
Powerhouse.
Cells. I was like, yeah, let me take it back down a few levels. But what's so fun is like, she was talking about mesenchymal cells. When's the last time you heard mesenchymal cells? Do you remember that?
Hygiene school. Yeah.
No, that was with Tracy Butler's episode when she was talking about the biologics. So right. Even though like it seems so like, God, I don't ever talk about those things. Like you really, if you read it again and now you're outside of that school setting, you're like, oh, mesenchymal cells. That's what they're doing to create like, new bone and new PDLs and things like that. So it's very cool. And I think we should always kind of go back and take that refresher course.
It kind of gets back to like what we talked about before. Is how great would it be if after 3 or 4 years out, you had to go back and take another, semester or whatever at hygiene school. Like, how
I would
great that
legit
really
have
be?
an anxiety attack.
Not like
But that's
it's,
my
your
own
licensure
pressure.
depends on it, but like,
Right.
how great would that be to be like you're back into it, and we've talked about the whole Canadian model and how they have to retake exams and stuff like that for 5 years or whatever. But we don't need to get into that again. But that's it's the same idea.
I think it's fascinating.
I really like that. It really is.
However, I'm not kidding, would have a legit panic attack because if I didn't get an A, everyone was going to crumble around me. Like I was taking you all down with me.
I sent you a Facebook Messenger picture just now.
Of what? Me reading?
No,
Did I look like an idiot?
It's me when you are reading.
Oh, just zoned out. I was talking about perio too, so I bet you were.
Like doubly zoned out. Like, oh. Anyway.
You're super special.
Good article, buddy. Yay. Way to story time that thing.
So I will say, it's to end this episode, we always talk about giving us iTunes reviews. We always appreciate that. Don't forget, we're going to Voices of Dentistry in January. So sign up for that, please. And thank you. Come see us in Scottsdale. But you know what I've definitely been looking at is that people have been interacting with our guests. So if we post things on Facebook, people are really starting to interact with them. That is amazing, and continue to do that. Like, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for giving them high fives and like pats on the back, and let's have a discussion. Dental Hacks Nation, if you guys aren't a part of that, they are wildly active over there. Let's have that. Let's talk about some things. Let's do it. So thanks
Sounds
for
good,
that.
Yeah.
And you can contact us on Facebook Messenger or a tale of two hygienists at gmail.com. What else? Anything else? That's pretty much it.
No,
Tell your friends.
That's how we get contacted.
Tell your friends. Please and thank you. So until next week, right? We've got
Until
2 more
next week.
episodes for 100.
Till the big 100.
What? All right.
All right.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye everybody.
Bye, y'all.